Hello and thank you for watching this video. This video is to demonstrate some of the skills that I've gained from working on various projects. For this project I was a team leader and lead level designer. I was responsible for making sure that the team was able to actually stay on track and get things done by the due dates necessary. I was also the one who assigned the different roles that each team member had. Thanks to my excellent leadership skills, we were able to complete this project within the 16-week time period we were given. What you're seeing right now is the first level I created for the game. I used the Unreal Development Kit to shape and design each level. Not only did I create the level for the game, I also created the character. I created the character using 3ds Max. Also in 3ds Max, I skinned and rigged the character so that he would be able to move properly within the video game. Right now you're seeing the character as he comes up to 3 different doors. Each door will lead him to a different path throughout the level. I created the first level this way to kind of break from the linear patterns I've been seeing in a lot of games. This way the player can actually choose which path he wants to go. Of course, each path has different traps and difficulties throughout them, so that if the player really wanted, he can actually backtrack and go down the other path, which may be easier for him. If the player decided to go down the left path, he actually encounters the first obstacle pretty early on. It's a platforming element in the game. This right here requires him to time his jumps correctly and get used to the controls of the game. And this main area was to get the player used to platforming, because the next spot is actually to have a lot more platforming within it. It also is the first point where the character can actually physically die in the game. But luckily we give them checkpoints just to help them out so they don't have to go through the whole area again. Here's actually where the second checkpoint is. We put it right after the platform area because this could be pretty difficult if people aren't really good at platforming. So thanks to our testers testing the game out, they added that suggestion. Right here is actually 3 different rooms. Each room has a different set of traps to go through, but they all lead to the same goal. The first room has a bit of a fire trap, and the second room's kind of got a lava floor with a crushing trap. Right now I'm going to show you the first room here. This room is the fire traps, of course. Got the lava on the bottom there and fire that shoots up in different intervals. If you time right, you can get through the whole area without getting hurt. But, of course, I didn't time right and I got burnt pretty bad. And, of course, I messed up and jumped a little too soon. But it also gave me the perfect opportunity to show you guys the respawn timer, or the respawn in the game. This next one's pretty difficult too. It's a crushing trap. And you can't really touch the floor too, so you gotta time it right just to get right around it without getting smashed. If you time it right like I did here, you can actually make it through it without even dying. Of course, if you die, you go back to the checkpoint and it wouldn't be too much of a hassle to go back through it. Okay, now to show you the last room in this area. It's actually one of my favorites here. The last room is an interesting one because unlike the other ones, you actually reach the first cutscene in the game. You actually see a crushing wall come down behind you, and it now is chasing you through this area. Of course, you have to juke around a couple different obstacles and jump over things, and before the wall gets to you. And of course, watch out for the pitfalls. And then when you make it up here, you got to make a good jump to make it to the end, or you have to try to get around it real quick again, or you get crushed like that. It gives the player a sense of kind of urgency, like their time, they need to really get out of it before it's too late. There's a little more to the other paths to going all the way to the end, but I said it might be a good time to show you the other way as you go through the levels. These right here are spinning kind of blade traps here, and random floor traps that constantly move. If you get touched by them, you'll get hurt. And of course, once you get past them, though, you come up to a locked door here, and this door can't be unlocked unless you go through a couple of other puzzles. Now, just fast forward through a little bit more, just because I don't want to take up too much of your time. I'm bringing you to the end of the game, which is a small little platforming thing right before you get to the end. And in here is kind of like the last area. As you see, I actually started changing up the style of the rooms towards the end. I wanted to give the player kind of like a feel that things are kind of different here, and that the game's not quite the same at the end as it is at the beginning, making them feel like they're getting close to the end. Now I'm going to show you the second level of the game, of what I worked on. See, now this right here is it's a whole different kind of atmosphere that one had. This one's more kind of like a desolate environment. The other one's more kind of like a greenery kind of area. This right here, actually, if you notice, you actually have a sword now. The sword was given to you at the end of the first level. It was actually what you're going through the whole level for, was to get the sword. We put melee combat in the game, where whenever you swing the sword, you can actually do damage to somebody. This level is actually a bit different from the second one, as in you'll notice that the gravity is a bit heavier here and making it harder to jump. So we added in these little platforms here to give them a kind of a boost if they time it right, making more timing into the platforming elements of the game. Now, we didn't do much more platforming after that. We kind of wanted to make this second level focus more on like sword combat and like puzzle solving. So throughout this level, they're more or less trying to puzzle solve, figure out traps and whatnot. Now here, if you kind of notice, the walls are getting closer and closer to the player, and I made it really subtle, so it's really hard to tell they're getting close there. But that way, the player would just, oh my goodness, and just take off running when he sees it. So it's one of those shock moments where it's wanting the player to keep pay attention, because if they don't pay attention, they'll run into more traps and probably die. This here is a simple puzzle I put in the game that shows the ability to trigger switches far away and activate events that the player will notice later. This right here actually leaves the player wondering, like, what did I do? When he comes across up here, though, he'll figure out just a little bit what happened. This right here is a trigger trap hallway. I call it that because all these traps right here will not go off unless they step on these triggers, and I wanted to make sure that the player can actually see what the triggers are. That way they can choose to avoid them later. I mean, most players don't realize it until closer to the end, but I mean, it's kind of one of the things I wanted to add just to give the player kind of a sense of, hey, keep an eye out for things and notice things that are different. Now, of course, I'm going through this and getting hurt a little bit here. It's pretty bad thing, because you don't get health till later on in the level. And if you go through all these traps and get hurt pretty bad, you'll probably end up dying pretty soon here. This right here is actually a really interesting puzzle I put in. It's a kind of rotation puzzle where you have to rotate these walls in different orders, trying to figure out how to get around it. Because you don't rotate them right, you'll block off your path and you won't be able to get around. Now, I also have a ceiling coming down on you too in this. This ceiling here will crush you if you don't get out in time. Of course, giving the player some sort of urgency. Now, this event only happens whenever you trigger figure out the simple puzzle earlier. This is the actual like secondary event that makes these bots come out. Of course, you won't be able to see these bots unless you trigger or activate the trigger back there. Now, these bots also open the door for you so you can continue on the level. And you see, I just died just a little bit ago. That's because I got hurt too much in the traps. But luckily, there's checkpoints. Checkpoints are nice. Just a little fast forward past the bots here and kill them off. The bots basically will chase you down and hunt you as long as you are within sight. If you hide behind something, the bots will change their mind. I also created the logic for the bots as well, making them want to chase after you and stop chasing you when you die, and when you get close enough, they'll come after you again. Now you see there's some trigger panels again. By now, hopefully the players realize what those were and try to dodge them, because they activate some more traps that are a little more deadly to get around. This is a pretty interesting trap too we added in here. It's a turret trap, and this trap right here is actually was created by me and my team. This trap is kind of difficult, but right now it's not so difficult if you're only having to worry about it. But the thing is, this turret will shoot where you're at and try to hit you. Of course, there's a little bit of like AoE damage too. Now the player has to go through all kinds of more traps in there to get through it. Of course, leading more difficulty. And here is actually a an enemy that we kind of made in a kind of a mini boss. When he enters in, all the doors are lock up on him, so you have to kill the enemy before you can continue on. And that's most of the highlights from that level. Now I'm going to show you an outdoor scene that I created. Now what makes this scene a lot different than the levels that I created before and you saw is the fact that there's a whole lot of like details put into this. I had a lot more time to actually work on small details of the levels and just make it like a fresh scene somewhere, like kind of like an outdoor scene that someone would actually see. The thing is though, I didn't have the time to actually put all that detail into the previous levels due to the short time frame and all the other tasks I had to complete. So I worked mainly on the functionality of the last one. Here though, I was able to really just get creative with the scenes and environment and worked on a lot of the different environmental details. As you'll see, there's a lot of shrubbery and like trees kind of area here, and a lot of detail was put into this area here. And with thanks to all my work on several other projects, I was able to actually complete this whole entire level here with only 6 hours. I decided to make a time limit just to see how much I can get done in a short amount of time. So if I was actually working on a team, I would be able to get this part done and be able to work on the next area. Of course, it also helped me practice with a couple of the terrain editors and other things as well, and get even more skilled with them. Yeah, it's just a fly through right now showing you a bit more of the level, but I mean, there's so much more I want to add to this before I finish up everything. I wanted to just add a whole bunch more than this and all kinds of new levels as well. That's pretty much it for this video here, and I just want to thank you again for watching.